We've seen some clear indications that, of course, the tablets is really coming at like a big wave. Or a lot of the suppliers are taking it up, and I think we'll just see the start of it. We also see that some of them is prepared to run on 4G, which is interesting. So 4G is still a topic here, and maybe we're starting to talk a little bit more about what kind of services you could use 4G. So what's the reason behind having 4G? Yeah, maybe video services, for instance. But it's not only about that. It could be different other verticals as well. Yeah, I think that is another hot topic, of course, and it's been pushed heavily by the announcements this Friday. And I think probably there will be a shakeout. There's a little bit too many players and too many platforms. If we compare to the PC world, where we have like 2 or 3 maybe players running. So at the moment, the consumers and the players around is very occupied with the platforms. But I think in a couple of years we will see that other things are coming back, and maybe we will have 3 or 4 bigger players, even in the mobile industry. And of course, it's interesting to see, will Nokia and Windows be one of them, or is this a win-win or a lose-lose cooperation? I'm not sure. Maybe they need to put some pressure on themselves, because they have both been, I think the market has been quite disappointed on both Nokia and Windows, and I think that goes for both the application providers as well as handset providers, and if you're talking about Windows, but also for the end consumers. Android is in a winning, together with Apple, a winning situation, so maybe it's good with some strong competition going forward. Yeah, I think it will, and I think the impact will be bigger than we are seeing at the moment. I think the wave will be stronger, and the change will come quicker. And if we look at Apple, for instance, the way they've introduced their iPad in less than a year, and the take-up is much higher than it was with the iPhone, and the iPhone has been a huge success. So I think we will see other players following. And of course, Nokia needs to be one of these players, because they are the leader still. So I think this will change the way we work more than we see today. Yeah, I think what we will see is that there's new kind of corporations coming up, and I think here that there needs to be a partnering between the operators on one side and the service providers or content providers on the other side, and I think they need to work more closely together, otherwise we could have a blocked situation. But what is interesting is that we have a shift towards US again. You could say that they lost the 3G battle to Europe or Asia. But now they're back with 4G. Even if the Nordic region has been the first one to actually launch 4G, you see that the Americans now are pushing it. And they have, of course, Google and Apple and the other internet players around the corner, so they can offer more services. And I think the business models will be created more maybe in America than elsewhere in the world. And I think maybe these models will be then adopted in Europe, for instance. So, and applications could be, I think, both business to business, like offering fleet management, machine-to-machine solutions, and these sort of things, but also, of course, video streaming services. So I want to watch my latest films or my latest TV series in my iPad or my tablet, and that will be possible with a good quality. So that will happen, I think. No, I think the challenge is that we have now talked about first bit pipes, and then stupid bit pipes or smart bit pipes, and now we're starting to talk about smart pipes. And maybe being a smart pipe involves being an active partner, I think. So you cannot just say, okay, we have open APIs and let's come and join our network and we can share the revenues. But I think they need to be a little bit more leaned forward and help the media players to do good services, or help the healthcare industry to find ways to monitor people with a network. So interaction and not blocking, because I think if we end up in a situation with the operators not gaining any money, they will try to block the traffic, because we have invested a lot in these networks, and it's fair that we have some sort of cuts of that. And the Skype could be one example where you see that some operators are starting to block it, and that's not good for the end user. So and not good for the operator side of it, because I think there is a revenue source for them on top of the network. Well, I think they've understood that they can't do everything. There will be some really big operators trying to do that, but the examples that we've seen for the last 10 years is that it's quite complicated, and you need to understand that maybe the content providers, they know what they're doing, so they can add some value. But maybe some big players, Vodafone has been one example that they've tried, maybe Orange as well, and maybe some of them will try to move in the direction of providing content. But I think the vast majority of operators will try to work with partners that know what they're doing and adding value on top of that. No, I think it will change, and obviously the Chinese players are very active and doing good technical innovation. I think still some of the big European or Nordic players have a strong brand and a good customer relation that they can continue to build on, but they need to add some value again. So maybe on the hardware side, the competition will be very fierce, but if they can add on top that different services that add value to the operator and the client intimacy, then I think they will survive as well. So.